Great. So you've been making hoops and getting on and, being busy with your busy, full life. And
Mm.
I just saw a post. So you had another workshop, yeah?
Yeah. Yes, I certainly did. We did the last workshop on the 16th, and three of the most beautiful drums were actually made. I love them. I love them, Deanna.
Beautiful.
Oh, it's just so exciting.
It is.
And then, yes, I've made another event today for the 26th of June. So that's my
Great.
next drum making workshop. And I've also been practicing with George. He's very careful here. On doing rattles as well. So I've been playing around with different methods of making my rattles,
Mm-hmm.
and because I've had people that say that they actually want to make rattles with me as well. And so I've actually been stitching them up until the last seven I made. I actually punched little holes in them, and I used the lacing that I laced the drums up with, and they look beautiful. I think they're actually even more favourite than the stitched ones. So, yeah, I'm
Beautiful.
pretty excited. And
Yeah.
yes, sold another drum today. So,
Did
yeah,
you?
good. Yes,
Oh, you're in the flow.
I am. Yeah, yeah,
That's nice.
yeah.
That's really nice that you're in the flow. I love that. I love that. Do you want to say a bit more about being in the flow? Mm.
Yeah. I think with my work, especially, I would say what I do is shamanic work, and that includes doing geomancy readings as well as making shamanic or medicine tools, as in medicine rattles and the shamanic drums. And yeah, I believe that to actually create um, tools, shamanic tools, that I think you have to actually be in the flow. And so I feel so blessed that every single stage of what I do is sort of my favorite. That's
Mm.
what I call being in the flow. If it doesn't
Mm.
feel like you want to do it, it's probably not the right time to do it. And so
Yeah.
when I'm in the flow, it's like everything is happening easily. I'm enjoying my day. I'm just I often get downloads while I'm actually doing it, and also high ringing in my ears, and so like I might be making a drum, and yeah, I sort of think, wow, this drum is going to help with, and there might be something like that comes through, or
Mm.
else definitely, you might just hug it or something like that for a moment, shut your eyes, and images start to come through for that drum and or the rattle as well. And so yeah, especially decorating the rattles, making the rattles, it was just beautiful. But especially when you're decorating them, they do talk to you, I believe.
Oh,
There's,
yes. Yes, I'm with you 100%.
yeah,
I can't see how it can't. It is as you say, it is a shamanic process, a spiritual process. It's meaningful, it's purposeful. Um, yeah, it's beyond, yeah, you're doing it for yourself and for the higher good and for others. So yeah, it's just beautiful.
I feel so honoured to be working with the one-leggeds, the trees, and also it's really the spirit animals of the rawhide that we are using. And even though it does get confronting at times, because I know that an animal has been killed to manufacture the skin, I suppose, or like
Mhm.
treat the skin.
Yes.
um I also know that that animal has been killed for food,
Yes.
or else like whatever it is that they use the animal for, I think using the skins also then goes, we're using all of it. And so in a way, it's a great honouring of that animal. And it's been crazy. Like the first goat skin drum that I made, I saw a vision of this male goat. He was so proud of his horns, like almost like my top knot here, but he was just like so proud of his horns and looking out over this whole valley. And that was the image that I saw as I was connecting into the skin. And again, that's how to get into the flow of it, is its intent. It's like I need to connect with this spirit animal before I actually make this drum. So anyway, I made the drum, and would you believe that when that drum died, I could actually see an image exactly on the skin of the drum that I actually saw in my mind's eye before I even started making the drum, before I even cut it or anything. And
Wow.
so he was so proud of his horns. And then so that was really quite amazing. And that's what I call being in the flow. I'm a bit scared sometimes. I know that I don't always trust myself, and I think that this is a really common with all of us.
Yeah.
And so I actually was making drums on order that I sent to Western Australia. And this drum, for this lady, it was like I asked, what sort of drum do you want? Do you want 4 spokes, 5 spokes? And as I worked with the skin before I actually made the drum, I made it as a dream catcher drum, right? And so she'd actually told me what she wanted, and I totally changed the drum from what she wanted. And after that, I went into a little bit of fear because it was different to what I thought she had ordered. And so anyway, it was amazing. I sent the drum off, a lump in my throat, really sort of going, oh, I hope she likes it. It's not like how she's expecting it. And then when she got the drum, she was like, oh, look, I'm amazed. I'm in love with that. And then I told her how I actually felt. I go, look, I'm sorry, I've sent you something different to what you ordered. And she goes, oh, look, I make dream catchers myself. And the wall and the room that she was going to hang the drum, she had like her own dream catchers. So like it really fitted her whole image. So it wasn't just the drum skin that I was actually vibing in on, it was actually her energy as well. And so to me that's in the flow. And yeah, look, here I am confessing that I don't always trust myself. More and more, the more that you say, hey, I've got away with that one, you go, oh, maybe if I do something like that in the future and I change something, I'll probably have half of the anxiety that I sort of had to post this drum off. And then maybe when synchronicity happens and spirit guides just sort of give you that confirmation again that what, you're doing the right thing here for the right reasons. And then maybe it'll be 25% of the anxiety if it happens again. You know what I mean? Like the more we do it, the more comfortable we become at trusting ourselves.
Yes. And I want to pick up on this trusting ourselves thing, and because the title of this little series, of which I was thinking today, maybe it's not the right title, because everyone,
it's quite funny.
It's funny, like it's tongue in cheek. You know me, it's tongue in cheek. Like, of course, we're aiming for love and light, and then there's this talk called "Hey, stop pressing my buttons," because that's the opposite of love and light. So yes, absolutely tongue in cheek. And so what are we doing, and how are we navigating this space? And of course, what is required of us right now has got nothing to do with other people. It is the work with, we are being called to go within, deeply go within, and be with ourselves in a way that we've never been before. You know, that's what this time is about. If for all of us who are in the love and light camp, you know, that means that we actually, in a way, it's a paradoxical thing. We have to stop worrying about the other and care more about how we are being in the world, so that we can then come to the space with a more enlightened, in inverted commas, you know what I mean, way of being, which is about trusting ourselves, no self-doubt. I mean,
yeah, come on, a little bit. I mean, it's sort of how we've lived, isn't it? And
right.
most of the being in the light and being a being of the light is actually that imaginary process. And so the reason why I told you that story was because it wasn't my customer that was pressing my buttons. It was actually me. And that recognition is really, really you know, the first step, I believe, in how you can say, stop pressing my buttons. And if you do believe it is somebody else that's pressing your buttons, well, we're all mirrors for each other. So really, it's like you point your fingers, you point one to them, but you got three pointing back to you. So really, they're only got 25% of the button pushing, and these ones here are the ones that are really, it's me.
Absolutely, I love it.
I'm pressing my buttons.
Yes. So moving on a little bit, I've had a couple of strange experiences, and, you know, we can talk about the eclipse, and I don't know how that was for you, but I'll ask about that in a moment. And I was very blessed to be here the whole weekend. My mum, as you know, I'm living with my mum. My mum went to Melbourne to have some actually carcinoma cut off of her nose, and she was gone from Wednesday night until Sunday night. So, you know, I've had the whole house to myself, and I knew the eclipse was on and the meditation, and I've just been kind of around the space. And I'm laying down doing a bit of meditation. I've had a couple of very weird, what's it called when you know, in that dream state, lucid dreams. I've been doing a bit of lucid dreaming. But yesterday I went to the beach, and you know how sometimes when you're walking on sand and particularly if it's got a little incline, or not even, doesn't even have, it can feel like, you know, a bit difficult to walk through the sand when it's soft, you know, that feeling. And sometimes you only have to walk, say, 3 or 4 meters, and it feels like, you know, you got your ticker going.
It's hard work.
Yeah. Well, yesterday I did my normal walk across this pathway, and I noticed that I was almost like I was floating, and it was easy. It was easy, and I'm like, are my feet on the ground? Is that what's happening here? It was really trippy. And I'm like, this feels, and I was like, had a stride about me. I took over someone who was kind of struggling. She was like, you know, puffing and panting. And I'm like walking like this. And I'm like, wow, like, look at me. That's awesome. So that was yesterday.
That's pretty crazy, isn't it?
It was cool. Yeah, it was very cool. Yeah.
I walked barefoot all the way around Granite Island.
Oh, wow.
And so it's about 1.5 kilometres on the gravel path, and that's actually pushing the soles of my feet a little bit. But it's all about grounding. So just feeling the earth. And one really beautiful man, he goes to me, he goes, how come you're walking bare feet? You know, like he was really interested. He goes, say, how often do you do that? And how long have you done it for? And it was like, I can remember on the school bus, we lived on a dirt road that was at least 1 kilometre. I'd like to go back. You know, when you're a kid, things are actually
Yes.
seem longer and whatever. So I
Yes.
wouldn't mind
Definitely.
actually finding on my odometer actually how long it was. But
Mm.
let's say 800 metres to 1 kilometre. I'd actually carry my shoes and socks in my school bag and then get to the bus. I'll put my shoes on the bus and then take them off on the bus on the way home and walk home bare feet. And that is all through the winter as well. So I've
Wow.
been a long time walker bare feet on the earth.
Long, long time.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
There
so
was
I
there's
don't
nothing
have
nothing
soft
going to stop.
soles. I
Sorry?
I don't have soft soles. I actually have a bit of leather.
Yes. Well,
It's called.
it's very good. And, you know, there's no surprise that you're a shamanic practitioner and you're closer to the earth. And yeah, it's certainly, it's great for your being, you know, to just to be free of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Good.
bare feet. So
Mm.
it's yeah, I love the rocks over there on Granite Island, and
When did you go there?
yesterday.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I did a little bit of soft sand walking, but most of it was hard gravel path. But I was just in heaven with those granite boulders, and yeah, you can see all the way up the Inman Valley. It's just a really special place, you know, part
Yeah.
of the yeah, you can see the ice that used to be yeah, the glacier
Oh,
that
wow.
used
Wow.
to be on Australia. Hallett Cove, you see more glacier rock, but Inman Valley glacier rock, and the great big boulders that are taken same as Granite Island. They're just strewn about the valleys up there
Ah, I see.
by the ice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, magical place.
Uh, I think so. Um, we just live in an amazing place. Yes, South Australia isn't my home where I was born. I was actually born in Victoria.
Yep.
And yeah, come over here, push my buttons again. I thought it was quite, well, because we didn't have the same size trees, or you don't find very many big trees in South Australia because it's dry. I sort of thought it was more desolate, but there's something about this place that just opens my heart. And I think my favourite spot that I've seen in Australia so far is the Nullarbor. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's just something to do. And I actually bought a quandong tree with its little
Right.
well, it's an epiphyte, so it needed a host. So yeah, I bought a pot with a quandong tree and a host. So 4 years I'll be waiting.
That's great.
And then it'll be native peaches or quandong and ice cream.
Oh, yum, yum, yum. You're getting all organized. I love it. That's a nice future to be living into. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, love it. So how was the eclipse for you?
I um I have been recently given a Mongolian shamanic drum.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yes, and it actually needs to be respun. It needs work on it, and it's been talking to me too. And to really start to work with the drum and to open my heart, I actually laid, just while the eclipse was happening, just hugging the drum, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And when the eclipse was becoming finished, I did a mandala for the drum and a mandala for my work with the drum and the
Wow.
mandala in between. So that's how I spent the eclipse. So yeah, it is. It's this drum is sad because it wants to be partying with people. I can see it wanting people together and, like, you know, stamp their feet on the, it wants to raise dust. It just really wants to get out there and get partying. And so, yeah, there's quite a bit of story that I'm going to work with the drum in the morning and do another mandala a day for at least, yeah, some time before I actually work on it, pull it apart, because it's, yeah, I think I haven't really repaired a drum anybody else has made. And so it's me stepping into another process that I'm, again, unsure of, again, want to push my own buttons, saying, you know, like don't we sort of say to ourselves, like, what gives me the right to think I can fix this shamanic drum? And it's
you can't do that. Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
we all have that. And, you know, like, I can call myself a shaman, and I've been, you know, bringing things in like geomancy, my geomancy readings, that nobody taught me how to do it 35 years ago. That came from my intuition. So that's why I call myself shaman, because when you can follow your heart, when you can follow the flow, right, that's when you really do know that you're sort of working something greater than self. So it's not just me and my mind. I actually open my mind and my heart to allow spirit to come in and work within my intuition in the present time. And yes, so, and it is all about being in the flow. So instead of having that imposter syndrome or press my own buttons, you know, like cancel, the cancel culture, no, I can't do that. I've got no right. It was like open my heart to that Mongolian shamanic drum. And I can see the high country that it's come from, but it seems to really want to go down to the beach. I live in Selleck's Beach. It just wants a beach party. And I think really when I do work with that, that's exactly what's going to have to happen, is we're going to get down there and just kick up a bit of sand, I'd reckon.
Oh, that's just, when, I mean, first of all, you know, my heart sings when you talk about mandalas and doing the mandala and the crossing over. I mean, that's just one of my favorite art therapy activities ever. So love that. But yeah, there's just a real vulnerability there, isn't there, about you stepping into that space and allowing almost like the drum to lead you and to be and to be patient. I hear that you're being patient with it, that you're taking your time, that you're being humble. There's gratitude. Like, there's so much in that process. And oh, wow, you know, what a blessing. What a blessing for you to be able to have that as like a job to do. Like, it's called you, and there's something there for you to, as you said, step into, and you have to face it.
Yeah.
You're not going to turn away from it. It's
well, I've sort of tried to, you know, like I
how'd that go?
Well, it's just like it was quite overwhelming there for a bit, because I can feel the drum actually is wanting something, right? So yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it was like, yeah, it's like, who can I give it to? Like, you know, is it really for me to pull apart and repair? Because I'm going to have to put a different technique of putting the skin back on again, and then I have to put it all back together. It's really
complex.
Yeah,
because I've seen the drum, and we were somewhere. Who were we with? We were with a male, and you said, "I'll have to get you involved." Who was, when we were having that?
That'll be Chris Blackmore.
Yes.
So Chris Blackmore he actually had a drum there at that event that we attended, Deanna, and his drum is strung how I want to actually string this drum. So I really want to copy the way that he's got a drum, that his drum has got a split skin on it. So he's already asked me to help him to repair his drum. And yeah, I sort of said that if he wants to use the skin, I can give him a smaller hoop so he can make a drum with his skin in a similar way to what I make it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll give him another skin and we can work together on how to actually re-skin his drum, his hoop, the way that it was done. So it'll be a totally new method for me. And yeah, I really look forward to it. So yeah, Chris will get 2 drums out of this, and I will get to see intimately how his other drum was made, so that I can actually put that type of technique onto reskinning the Mongolian shamanic drum. But yeah, like there was a time there I did get really quite emotionally involved in it, and I felt the drum sadness. It's just, it wants to party. It's sort of I think a little bit displaced, and I know we all feel the same. And I don't know that Australia, like it was definitely not made in Australia, and so it's sort of like going, oh, maybe it's a little bit foreign land. And yeah, so there's a whole heap of stuff going on with this drum that I'm going, oh look, I'm not coping with it, and so I just put it aside for a week. And then it was like, well, I've got to give this thing a hug, open my heart to it, and it's really open to me too. Yeah, so when it first came here for the first week, it was really loving me playing my drums. I could feel it going, wow, we're rocking, this is good. Not that I would play, it's got to beat it, it's magnificent. Yeah, but I could just feel it going, yeah, this is good. Here's somebody who plays the drum. So I could sort of sense that it was like a little bit happy for being here. And then there was the like, overwhelmed for me, what am I going to do? And it's me that pushes my buttons, like, why do I think, I've been working with energies and stuff probably since I was 11. I do believe I'm a way shower, and stuff that I've done. I'm 60 now, so a lot of what I've done is I haven't sort of done a lot of reading what other people, a lot of work has come from me, my heart. I've followed my own, intuition, I suppose, in a lot of what I've been doing. Of course, we always read and we pick up bits here and there from everybody, and so grateful for, some of the amazing books, and, the Pleiadians, like that's who I've known from the time I think I was 12. I can remember saying to this lady that I knew too much as a 12-year-old to have just been on the planet for 12 years. Like,
wow.
So
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, but that's good, like, to actually now looking back on it. But as a kid, like, it's crazy. Like, I'm nuts, like, and then you tell yourself this, and again, push our own buttons, like, it's been quite a journey to sort of come, and the way that I actually gave myself permission to say I'm adept at what I do. I made a drum, back in 2009 with 3 Bears. That was my way of celebrating. I was so honoured that now I can actually help other people celebrate that aspect within themselves, so that the drum comes on a journey with you.
It's beautiful. And I just have to comment, this is slightly digressing, Lisa, but I am noticing that your the way that you are confidently speaking on camera tonight, as like there's been a big improvement from when we first started doing this, like, you know, last year or whenever we hooked up. Yeah, you really seem very free tonight, very happy and loving, and yeah, it's really beautiful.
Well, we are in the tunnel of the eclipses, and
Yeah.
it's really important to sort of know that when the sun and the moon and the earth all line up, you know, like there's no better time to actually say, I know who I am. You've got both sides, you know. So yeah.
Yes, it was an interesting exercise for me. You know, I made that little collage of those photographs that I took of myself, and you know, and you know, I was the buttons that I was pushed with yesterday, because I actually did those photos the weekend, like kind of they weren't done yesterday. I took those photos like the weekend. I think I'd even been crying about the breakup and everything, and I just got up and I felt so crusty and so like a little bit, you know, just very vulnerable, and I'm like, what's going on, you know, with this relationship? And I was just looking at the sun and, you know, no makeup on, and I'm just like, no, these photos are just a representation of me emerging, you know, and so it was a creative piece to put those all together and just go, yeah, you look a bit, you know, from, you know, I'm judging myself that, you know, you look a bit, you know, like tired and worn out there. Like, this is a creative piece. You just got to put it out there. It was just, you know, because I think I've shared with you before, you know, my self-esteem as a young person, as a teenager, and as a 20-year-old woman was incredibly fucked up. And you know, I wore lots of makeup in the 90s, and you know, I mean, I had a terrible story that I was ugly. And anyway, I mean, that is all gone. That is well and truly behind me. But certainly, you know, always, you know, you just know when you're kind of in that average crew, and you get fed a story. There's the beautiful people, and then, you know, you just kind of average whatever. And yeah, so it was putting those photos up with that post and my musings and my thing on Sunday. It was like, you can't be afraid. I can't be afraid. Like, it's just a face. Like, doesn't matter.
It's a beautiful face.
Doesn't matter what anybody thinks. And it doesn't matter. And you know, I wasn't doing it for necessarily like, look at me, but it was don't be afraid to put your face out there, because that's what you look like. You know, that's you. That is you. So, you know, fuck it. Doesn't matter. You know, it's just, Facebook is just a stream of everybody's meanderings. Everyone's putting stuff out there. People will scroll past in a flash. It doesn't matter. It's gone. Do it. If you want to do it, you do it. You know, don't worry about what anybody else thinks. So it was a real good exercise for me. And it was good. It was like, yeah, that's done. It's gone now. That was Saturday or Sunday, and now it's Monday, and you know, we're moving on. And everything is happening. So, you know, like, you just got to do it, let it go. Do it, let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as instead of pushing your buttons, you try to actually do it with grace. Like,
Yes.
what else can you say but grace? So when you're actually working within grace or that flow, or there's so many different terms that you can actually use, that's when I think you're actually working, you know, with you know, our creator. Whether you whoever you call our creator, and when we're actually working with our creator is when our heart is flowing, and our soul, that's our soul is actually on its journey and choosing, where actually our mind is choosing to follow our soul's path instead of conflict with it. you know, and that's to me the flow, you know, you get into the flow, it feels right, it's meant to be. And you sort of know,
You do,
and
of
even though you
course.
know your head's going, oh, she didn't ask for that. You asked her what type of drum you wanted made, and yet here you are presenting something different. That's my head. My head's sort of going, you know, like, and maybe if I had have been more in the flow when I was talking to her, I wouldn't have actually asked the question, you know. So yeah, there's always, you know, you can look backwards and go, what could have I done to fix this situation? But the situation didn't actually need fixing. The only thing that needed fixing was my thought process behind it, and
Yes.
lack of confidence in my own, is it shamanic ability or connection or yeah.
Well, no, yeah, because your shamanic abilities and your intuition has got nothing to do with the cognitive distortions in our mind. I mean, that's, you know, shamanic practice and intuition is rising above that, you know, going beyond that monkey mind, which is the ego, which is going to always want to, you know, push your own buttons and hold you back and tell you, no, that's not safe, or no, you can't do that. So yes, so yeah, what are we doing? You know, like I keep thinking, you know, what is this new way of being about? What is this new world that we're creating? And because we are doing it, it is happening, whether, you know, others believe it or not, is actually happening, which is wonderful. And that is exactly what we're doing, is that we are connecting our heart with, and letting our heart kind of, I guess, take over to become the true driver of our thinking mind, of which, you know, has become this, you know, anxious, worried, depressed, you know,
Busy.
fearful, you know, that's the kind of what's out there in the society. And we're rising above it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful
and it
thing.
is all talking about judgments of ourself, and if you judge yourself, you also reflect on other people, so you judge other people as well. And
Yep.
so that's not really being in the flow when your brain's sort of engaged. Right now, what do we think about this, you know? Yeah, so it's quite amazing. Yeah, it's wonderful when you are in the flow, because the synchronicities happen, like two totally different events sort of come together and make a meaning for you, you know. Like, and so our angels are there all the time to sort of go, hey, listen, I got you back here, girl, you're doing the right thing, you know, like this is meant to be, you know. And yeah, so sometimes it's actually easier to be in the flow than at other times though. So
yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a physical body that can get tired, not necessarily. I mean, and there's ways, you know, we are also becoming, you know, more attuned to what it means to keep our physical body from, you know, becoming tired or exhausted. And that's been, I think that kind of awareness has been such a wonderful thing for all of us. I mean, a lot of people, there's always been a lot of health conscious people, but I think the surprise element, I think, of the pandemic, I think one of the surprise elements is that so many people went, oh, right, now I'm going to look after myself in a way that I've never looked after my body before. I'm going to look after my health in a way that I've never, because, you know, I don't want COVID. Maybe I need to stay healthy because if I'm not getting vaccinated, then I can't go to the GP, you know, like, so you know, it just, the whole movement went forward really, you know, in a big way, you know. And I mean, that can't be wrong. It's wonderful. It's awesome. We're just going to keep, you know, and, you know, people like Chris making beautiful tinctures, Kai making tinctures, you making you know, beautiful, you know, foods, and everyone just becoming more interested in that. You know, I don't think that whoever the contrivers of the pandemic, I don't think they saw that bit, you know, as an outcome, which I think is kind of funny. I laugh.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the way show is. That's why, well, I think it goes well. I know my growth, my spiritual growth has actually occurred since 1987 August, and the harmonic convergence. Like, that's when I believe the Pleiadians were really starting to be able to access our planet and people like me. And, you know, I think a lot of what we have brought, or the way showers have shown, is that it's that sort of channeling connection to the star people, and we're actually doing it with things that belong on this planet, you know. And I channel my geomancy readings through my master crystals, which are runes, you know. That's what they are. The drums, you can channel all sorts of emotion with the drums, you know. Like, you know, if you're angry, like, I sit down, you know, like, I suppose anger isn't a really high emotion on my agenda now, but there are others, like, and anger sometimes. And like, I just love there sitting, you know, like, you just tell your drum with your heartbeat, you go like, I hug it, and this is just a heartbeat, and I talk over the drum. I just sort of go, oh, this is what's going on. And then, like, after a little while, like, you've talked it out, so it's actually, Mama Gaia can hear it. It's been a bit clarified because it's just out of that mental loop. And then and it's like, you can tell your drum then, you know, this is actually what I want out of this session. And so you go, big breath, you know, and then you can just start practicing playing. And, you know, I've sat down for 5 minutes, and an hour and a half later, it's like, I got what happened to the time? Obviously, I've just been channeling. I've not been aware of time. And that, you have to say, is in the flow, and there's no buttons being pressed then, you know. It's like you're just connecting through to Mama Gaia, who is, I'm part of her. Hang on, sorry about this. I shouldn't.
That's all right.
I should. I just
love it.
I put my plane on. Right, flight mode. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I loved what you said about being with the drum, and you also said something that you mentioned about anger, because I too find that you know, anger doesn't arise. I mean, there's the last 6 months of my life, there have been some incidences which were meant to happen, clearly, to clear the decks, you know. And they've been isolated events where there certainly has been, you know, a button has been pushed around some old trauma stuff, but that's about, that event was there to come up, that interaction was designed to come up, to bring the wound to the surface so I could clear it out. So that, I think that's a different experience from kind of feeling an everyday anger, which I don't, you know. I mean, if I was to tap into, you know, kind of the thing that I've been most in touch with, that I can easily touch is a, you know, I can touch sadness quite easy. You know, if I tell you when I get teary the most is, I get teary when I listen to, or I see particularly women who have like risen out of the dust, right? When I hear stories, I see stuff on Instagram, or I hear women, or it doesn't necessarily have to be women, but it mostly is, who tell stories about how they've moved through difficult spaces. So I guess I relate to that. And it can be in advertising. I don't know, it can be, in a movie or something, but I get moved when I see good things happening to people who have struggled. I get emotional about that. That touches me. But yeah, generally speaking, I anger's not a daily, I don't feel angry. I feel happy. Mostly I feel so grateful to be alive.
Yeah.
I feel so
But
great.
but then, I mean, so do I. Like, I just love what I do. I said right at the beginning that I actually do what I feel like I want to do at that time. So that's
Yes.
really important. When you sort of, you're in the flow because you're actually really enjoying yourself. But I know as a younger person, there's so many things on this planet that's just wrong, like housing. How come our government is saying, let's bring in more people, we need workers, but where's the houses? Like, where did you say that you go, I think we protest about the wrong things? Because that's right. Like, I live down the south, and it's like they don't put the roads in before they bring the people down. They actually bring the people down, then they go, oh, we've got enough money now, let's build a road.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems to be the wrong way. Like, there should be housing for everyone. There should be a living wage for everybody,
Yeah.
like, why is it the women are more impoverished, like, I mean, isn't that something to protest against,
Yes, and I want to link it back to what you
angry.
I want to link it back though to what you were saying and what we were saying moments ago about living from the heart. Because if imagine, so we still need councils, right? And I mean local councils. Say you got local who are having a meeting around housing. They're not making decisions here. They're making decisions here, and they're making decisions about the backroom deals that have, the developers. So imagine a world when we're all living in the heart and we're allowing the heart to lead. Well, of course we would be building houses then, wouldn't we?
Yes.
That would be easy.
Yes. Yeah, but I find that quite amazing that the government is choosing to give rich people tax break, right? And I do understand that, maybe we've got to do something about tax brackets, but the cost to that is actually more than sorting out all of the human issues. So wouldn't you say, let's sort out the human issues? We need more public housing, cheap housing for people, right? Let's make unemployment benefits more. Everyone gets a living wage, including people with a disability. Oh my God, sorry for being so controversial here, but like, they want to be employed, employ them. Even if they need somebody to work with, employ 4 people, and then you got another staff member just that's helping them with their job, like, and they're actually getting paid for it instead of their, whatever it is that.
No, well, that stuff certainly pushes my buttons, Lisa. I mean, absolutely.
Let's make it equal.
Yeah, and I mean, Prue is just doing some prolific writing, and I'm sure if people in the network are going to watch this video, they'll agree that Prue says it time and time again, is that, and I see this too, is that we've just got to circumnavigate. There's no point in having conversations with them anymore. It's broken, that they don't want to change. They've had ample opportunity to do different things. All the solutions are there. Why are we not allowed to build tiny houses? Why are councils stopping people from building tiny houses? I mean, the evidence is there. You know, I could go and buy a house for $60,000, a tiny house, and put it on a block of land, but most councils won't let me. You know, like that, it's stupid. Like it, and so we just have to find ways. We have to either buy big blocks of land together, or we have to find ways to live together. We just have to find ways to circumnavigate it, because I you know, whilst I said that in that talk around with where protesting for the wrong things, I stand by that. I also think that a lot of energy gets wasted in that fighting, and I think if we channeled that energy into creation, that's a better, I think it's a better use of time, of our time and energy.
Yeah.
But this is where we're coming unstuck. Well, this is the tunnel that we're in. I don't just see it as this week, not this week between the soul. I'm talking about the big tunnel between, you know, 2020 and say 2025, which is a bit of a big tunnel. That tunnel is you and me and a whole bunch of other people around. There's some amazing people trying to find new ways to be with one another, because it's been rammed down our throats that we live separately, that we build fences around our homes, that we all live you know, in our own separate house, and we do this all separately. So we're trying to undo that. And you know, like the healing ground is a classic. It's actually a microcosm of the macro. It really is. And there's been, I'll tell you, the button that pushes me so many times. I wanted to walk away. I'm like, fuck it, it's not working. It's not fucking work. Like it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And I'm like, you can't walk away from this idea. Now, it is what it is. You know, I can't control it. You know, I'm trying to steer it, and I'm holding it, but I got to let go of what I thought it was, you know, and because it's got to evolve. And so that's just a microcosm of the macro of what we're all going through. We're all trying to find, I feel like, well, I know this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to find ways to be with people and to align myself with people that have the same vision as me, so that we can have the future that we deserve, you know, so we can have lifelong friendships, so that we can rely on each other and help each other out. And if we need, you know, food in the future, if there's one time where I need food, I've got people that I can go to, and vice versa. You know, I feel a little bit sometimes impatient with myself right now, where I am right now in this moment, but I know that's going to change. I know it's just a temporary thing to get me to the next space, because once I'm find my plot of land, I will never leave. You won't get me away. I'll be digging something. So that's what I think that the tunnel that we're in is, that we're trying to find our way to be with one another in a new way, in a better way, in a way that's authentic, in a way that allows us to create things. Because, you know, in the sweat lodge the other day, you know, we were talking about relationships, and we were talking about partnerships, and, you know, I'm a team player. I want to build things with other people. I don't want to build things. No. Yeah, I want to create things, you know, whether it be a healing center or a garden, but I think doing that with others is a joy. You know, I don't know how that's going to work out, but whenever I envisage my future, yes, I see myself somewhere, but I see people around me. You know, I see people around me and doing stuff together, and, you know, anyway, God, enough of me ranting on.
It is perfect. And that's why I think it's so important what you did actually call this conversation, because so many people, like, we've all got we want the same thing. we just want to be loved, respected. We want to be able to love and respect everybody else. And we just want to see all these man-made problems go away. And man-made as in, you know, like, why are the birds, you know, they're under stress, especially, you know, like, what's 5G going to do to all of the animals? Like, let's get worried about it for ourselves. But how do they like cope with all of these satellites that are actually in our atmosphere, you know, and beyond, like all of these things? They're the things that you go press the buttons, and you know, we know that we're actually the plebs, that we're the 99% that have been working for the 1%. We are the slaves. Like, how can we allow plastic? Like, when did plastic become okay? Like, why isn't it now that every single thing that you buy from the supermarket is recyclable? Or actually, let's not recycle it. Let's just let it, you know, compost. You know, like, the technology is there. Why isn't it implemented across the board? So I don't have to think, my God, what should I buy? What shouldn't I buy? I'm overwhelmed. I don't like going to the supermarket because I don't know what I should or I shouldn't buy. Like, and I think, you know, probably, you know, like, not being one of the 1%, we all have to work out how we're going to pay the bills. And, you know, like, it is hard to run your own business and do it all by yourself, you know, like, there's a lot of work involved. You know, there's a lot of single mothers out there that haven't even got anywhere to put their children to bed. Like, how can that not be pushing my buttons? And then you see the young people, like, how many Aboriginal people are actually in jails? Like, how come they're 2 to 3% of our population? Maybe it's a bit more now, I don't know. But like, the jail population is more like 30%. Like there's a 10 to the power of difference between what it should be. Like, it's just all these things, like, push our buttons. And what do? George, you agree, don't you? Yeah. It's like, how can you get along and not be angry about this? But that's how to work within your heart. And that's what we've got to do, isn't it? And that's why the name of this thing, pressing your buttons, is all about, you know.
I'm glad you see it like I do. I really appreciate it. And I just, this is conversation, I've really enjoyed it. Honestly, it's made my night. It really has. I've really enjoyed this conversation tonight, Lisa. It's been great.
Yeah, but I think it's just that emotional maturity, in a way, to sort of say, I've got to accept that this is happening, but I can't be angry about it, because anger is something that eats away at me. And so open my heart to love, open my heart to what I believe I'm helping, I'm in service of, and I'm so honoured to be able to share, like, myself with others. And we're all the same. It doesn't matter whether you're newly begun on your spiritual path, or whether you're, you know, however many years, it doesn't matter. If it's hours or decades, it doesn't matter. If you have it in your heart that you go, I just want to use my intuition and, you know, be here on the planet, loving where I am, loving what I do. Yeah, like, even the women with the children, even the ones that aren't housed, if we can even help them feel better about themselves, instead of, like, judging, you know, pointing the finger, you know, pressing the buttons, and sort of being, well, they should have got a better job, or, you know, like, we know that it's actually a setup. That's what it's meant to be. So if they can thrive, anything we can do to help them thrive is really, like, yeah, let's do it, people. Like, you know, let's try to stop pushing each other's buttons. If we do, we go, okay, like this is how I felt about that, and this is what I believe. But yeah, look, we're in the office. It's never a good thing. I've got a
Yeah.
keyboard to attest to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking for an hour, so that's fantastic. And I agree, totally wholeheartedly in your camp around being of service, being in love. That's what we're here to do. And sometimes, you know, we've got every right to, you know, lay down and close the door and have a rest from that if that's what you need to do. But yeah, it's wonderful to have friends like you.
Thank you, and you, Deanna.
Yeah.
But we're all building resilience. That's what I think it is, and that's what pressing buttons is all about. It's like, stop taking the world personally. You know, like it's actually not, you know, them against me. It's actually, you know, we are together. There's more numbers of the people that can come together to actually support and help. Like, here's the platform. We're all here.
Yeah,
Let's just do it.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. Let's just do it.
And if we do go press some buttons and actually make a mistake, so be it. Like, there's
Yeah.
always forgiveness, and you go, well, I'm sorry, I might have fucked up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. I think I'm going to go and have some chocolate ice cream.
Good on you. Well, you enjoy your night, and blessings on everyone in the Healing Ground Collective. And I
Yeah.
just think we're fantastic, every single one of us, and
Yeah.
we're all the beloved of Mama Gaia, and she really needs us all to step into our space.
Yeah, she does. She does. And we're doing it. And that feels right. That's in the flow. That's in the flow. Yeah, for sure.
Yay.
Oh,
All right. Georgie and I say good night. And
good night, Georgie. Oh, I love you.
he's actually a little bit, I think it's mating season now, and he's sort of a little bit cool, cuddly.
Right.
But doesn't really want to be talking to anybody else. It's me who wants to cuddle, so I feel very blessed and lucky.
Oh, all right then. Well, you take care, darling.
All right.
I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.